now we're 7 years of doing this particular event, and the ROI on it, like, you really can't put a cap on it, right? So relationships that you build and foster in those rooms that other people build, like, you know, you have some guys that have the money but can't get next to I've had Mike Tyson in there. I've had Zach LaVine, Devin Haney, Floyd Mayweather. You can't sometimes get next to these guys, and here you are in a room, you know, gambling with them, having fun with them, you know? So the fact that the Wynn was able to curate something like that, now we can take it on the road. It's kind of helped us, but that's kind of my niche now.
Money versus motion.
Yep.
Talked about some people have money and some people have motion. Talk to me about what that means and how does that play into your day to day?
There's people that I've taken care of that have boatloads of money. They can buy whatever they want. They don't have to worry about it, think twice, don't even look at the price tag, right? But they also don't have the access sometimes. I do well, but I'm not comfortable, like, to where I can just do whatever I want, but I have motion. I can get access to probably 90% of the things that I want to get access to, right? So that motion to me carries more weight than what money could. Because, like, again, like I said, when I curate some of these events, some of these well-to-do people can't even get to the front door. So I just feel like the motion carries way more weight than money.
Let me ask you a question. Who is that one person that if you could get access to and then actually build chemistry and trust with would change everything for your business, your organization, and maybe even the trajectory of your career? I'm Brian Gonzales. I'm the CEO of Wealth Quotient, and this is Relational Capital. Every week, I sit down with leaders across luxury, philanthropy, and financial services, those who regularly engage the ultra-wealthy, not to talk theory or hype, but to uncover how they actually get in the room, build trust, and stay there with these very hard-to-reach people. My guest today comes at this work from a completely different angle. He's Jai Shaun White, the Director of Business Development and Nightlife at the Wynn in Las Vegas. Now, if you know anything about that world, you know this. Athletes, artists, entertainers, and some of the most influential and wealthy people on the planet want access to the Wynn and want to be around Jai Shaun. He has mastered the art of becoming the person people want access to, not the person begging for it. So listen, whether you're in philanthropy, luxury sales, private wealth, hospitality, or any role in the ultra high net worth arena, there is a lot you can learn from someone who has built relationships at that level with consistency, authenticity, and presence. And before we dive in, I just want to quickly say thank you for watching this show. Thank you for showing up for this community that we're building. I think we're building and creating something unique with this show. Something for the people who are serious about understanding how trust, relationship building, and influence work at the very highest levels. I am committed to bringing on the guests you want to learn from, the ones who can actually help you get better at your craft, expand your access, and build real relational capital along the way. And obviously, we want to have some fun as we do it. So look, if there are people that you want me to interview, if there are questions that you want me to ask future guests, leave comments in whatever platform you're watching this from, and we're going to look at those and take those into consideration. All right, with that being said, let's get into today's conversation with my good friend, Jai Shaun White. Well, here we are with the man himself, Mr. Jai Shaun White. Glad to have you on Relational Capital today, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I think you are the unofficial mayor of Las Vegas. That's what some people have called you, right?
I feel it's a title well earned.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've been in Vegas for a long time. Why don't you tell our audience who's unfamiliar with you kind of what you do and how you got to this place, right?
So first and foremost, Jai Shaun White. Been at the Wynn for about 17 years now, going on 18. Got introduced to the game by luck, I guess you would say. Wasn't really much of a going out guy. Had some friends that wanted to go out that were kind of well known in life. Some well known football players, Reggie Bush, a couple guys, and they knew I lived here. Knew I had ties into certain places, but didn't have a guidance as where to go. So they relied on me to kind of tell them where to go. And well, we went out one weekend. They wanted to make sure they had everything lined up, set to go. But back then, you really didn't need to be set up if they knew who you were, whether you were somebody famous, popular, or just well known in the city. You can walk to the front and they'll take care of you, right? But they wanted to make sure they had it dialed in. And back then, there weren't too many guys that I knew that do it, but there was one guy that I knew. So, of course, we made a visit to him. Everybody had a great time. Ended up meeting the owner the first night casually. He's a huge fan of Reggie. Um, Ended up going back about a week and a half later. This time I had Reggie, Jerome Bettis, Javon Curse. And he's like, how do you know all these guys? I was like, well, played with him, know his agent, friend of a friend. So it became to the point where the owner was like, hey, I want my club to be the spot where these guys go. I don't care what it takes. I'll give you a table, set you up. I just want this to be the spot where the guys go. So I was like, all right, cool. Did that. Then it became so much so that people would ask for me, but I didn't work there. They thought I was there because I was there all the time. And he was like, hey, how about this? I'll pay you to make sure these guys come in. Like, I'll set you up, you do your thing. Ended up meeting my second boss, Sean Christie. And he was like, hey, I'm going over to the Wynn. Like, I think you do good here. And it really wasn't my forte. I was like, my guy's like hip hop. We knew the Wynn was being stuck up and bougie. And, we kind of wanted to be kind of not recluse, but, have our fun, dress how we wanted to dress. And he was like, this is probably a spot you'd want to be if you want to elevate yourself in this career. I was like, I didn't even plan on doing this. I don't even know this is a career. I'm just having fun and I'm getting paid, And so I took his advice, went over there, and 17 years later, I'm still there.
So what is your position at the Wynn? And for those that may be watching around the world, give us a little bit of a commercial on the Wynn.
So my position there is Director of Business Development. So primarily on the nightlife side. So what I do is I help curate out-of-market events, whether it be Coachella, Art Basel, Kentucky Derby, Del Mar Open, Formula One Miami, Formula One Vegas, Austin. I try to find a niche spot for us to curate and draw customers, right? I used to travel a lot by myself and I would go to like Sundance Film Festival, but I would always see Tao Group have an after party or a pop-up or a special invite. And I'd go to Art Basel, same principle, but also I would see our Wynn customers there, whether there be gaming customers or nightlife customers. And they would be like, sometimes some would be like, hey, you guys got anything going on? I'm like, no, we don't, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, why don't we? Like, our customers are here, but they're building relationships with this other hospitality group and they see them everywhere. So I went back and was like, hey, look, I'm going to do Del Mar Open. I got invited. I want to curate a suite, a hospitality suite. I see a lot of our customers there. They're hanging out with the MGM guys, and that room is a little stuffy. It's real super corporate. I was like, I want to do something that's a little elevated and more fun. So this was a proof of concept, right? I got a suite. I invited some well-known players, meaning gaming players that I knew that were there that liked the races. I invited some athletes, and then I invited some of our big nightlife customers who like horse racing. So now you got this curated room of wealth, celebrity, and guys that just want to be next to the guy. I had a great friend named Kevin. He's a handicapper. He pretty much knows all the horse lines and know how to bet. So he made a one sheet of all the horses that he thought would win. So now you got like an inside, you're gambling, you're mingling, whatever. Had a DJ in the corner. So it was not your typical stuffy horse racing. This was loose, fun, sponsored bar, and it took off. Now we're 7 years of doing this particular event, and the ROI on it, like, you really can't put a cap on it, right? So relationships that you build and foster in those rooms that other people build, like, you have some guys that have the money but can't get next to I've had Mike Tyson in there. I've had Zach Levine, Devin Haney, Floyd Mayweather. You can't sometimes get next to these guys, and here you are in a room, gambling with them, having fun with them, So the fact that the Wynn was able to curate something like that, now we can take it on the road. It's kind of helped us, but that's kind of my niche now. It started out, obviously booking tables, doing that stuff in the nightlife, and I still do that. That's a huge portion of what I do, but also I wanted to carry that to out-of-market events.
So you obviously weren't handed. People look at you now and they're like, man, Jai Shaun has the keys to the Wynn. With that, you provide access for so many people that want access to these incredible experiences. But you didn't start with the keys to the kingdom. How did you end up in in Vegas to begin with?
So I ended up in Vegas late 90s, early 2000s. My uncle is Barry White, and I lived with him pretty much until I was 14.
Wait a minute. You said Barry White, the Barry White, like the singer Barry White.
No, yes, the Barry White. So him and my mom were tight like butt cheeks. Brother and sister went everywhere with each other. Um, he was like, "We're moving to Vegas." Mom's like, "Oh, are we? Okay." I'm super young. All I know is Vegas is hotels. So I'm like, "Oh, cool. We're gonna live in a hotel." I didn't think of anything outside of that. He had a residency here. Um, so we came out here after I went to school, played ball, came back to visit, and I was like, "You know what? I'll stay here." And then I've been here ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the way that your career has taken off, no reason to leave. And so Jay, you have. I want to kind of take this at a very high level. I want to start with kind of some theory and some just some philosophical principles about relationships before we get tactical and practical.
Mm.
But I don't think it's an overstatement to say that you probably have more relationships with athletes, celebrities, artists, ultra wealthy business owners than most people on the planet. So I'm curious, as you've been doing this now for 17 years, what's your philosophy on how you gain access, build trust and influence with these very, very wealthy, hard to reach, hard to access people?
A huge one. If somebody's trying to build a relationship with me, this is the way I would like to be treated. So being authentic, right? People will sometimes introduce me to people. I'm like, "Oh, this is so and so. He owns blah blah blah, or he started da da da." But I want to treat you as if I don't know you're that person, as if I don't know you're the Bill Gates or whatever. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a tech guy. But you know what? We both a huge fan of Jordan 1. We both like
Mhm.
those. That's our common ground, right? And that's a authentic, nothing to do with business type of conversation that we can have. And, I built relationships on conversations like that. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily knowing like, oh my God, that's LeBron James. It's like, cool. Everybody knows that's him. But, I'm not coming at him for like, hey, I work in the nightlife or I work at the Wynn. I want to take care of you. They get that all the time from every angle. I don't want to come with you at that. Like if we meet, we get along, we find some common ground, we talk, cool. Sometimes people talk me up like, anything in Vegas you need. Well, sometimes I can't get anything in Vegas. I could I can get this in Vegas. I can't get anything. So it's like I also got to manage expectations and live up to what people promote me as, right? So long as I'm authentic and manage your expectation of what you expect out of me or what I can deliver, I felt that's been a huge thing of keeping relationships.
I mean, it's crazy how many times that gets brought up when I talk to people about building relationships, is that ability to be authentic, to be yourself, to not try to be someone other than who you are.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm curious. I think very practically, if we do get a little practical, those fundraisers and sales professionals that are watching this, that are trying to hone their craft and get better at building relationships and trust and influence with these very wealthy, sometimes very famous people, oftentimes there's a nervousness that comes with it. There's an unsettledness where, oh my gosh, this is this really famous, wealthy person.
Mhm.
What kind of advice do you have? Because I'm curious, your uncle's Barry White. You played football, you grew up with athletes, you've got all these friends. Do you think that's something that there's a mindset that you can get into where you're not kissing their ass and you're able to be a real human being and be, very comfortable in your own presence and in your own shoes? Or is that something that just takes time to develop?
It's a little bit of both. I feel it takes time to develop, right? Growing up, I've been around those type of people. And when I was younger, there's some individuals I was around that I didn't even know were famous or
Yeah.
of a certain stature, right? I was just myself around them to come to find out, years later, I look on TV, I'm like, oh, dude, I remember that person, blah, blah, blah. And then when I see him, like, yeah, man, remember we used to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but it was from a genuine spot. I mean, I'm sure you've seen people act a certain way around you. And then when they get of somebody they know of any type of stature, whether it be wealth, celebrity, they switch. And then like they might fumble it. It's like, bro, if you just be yourself, it'll probably go a lot further. I mean, I've been around celebrities. They love it when you don't know who they are. Like some of them don't like, oh, No, I've never seen you. You know, you probably won 2 Academy Awards or whatever. And it's like, man, they really didn't know who I am. No. And they like it, you know, because
Yeah.
now you're treating them like an individual. You're talking shit to them and you not know. But
Yeah.
like, why would I change who I am because of who you are? You know, you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
do the same, you know? Uh, and a lot of times you might hold the key to something they need, no matter how big they are. That's why, like, for example, when I curate those intimate moments on the horse track or the F1, some of these guys can't get next to these people, and some of these athletes can't get next to the tech guy. They don't know how. They don't have a language. But when they just start shooting the shit and have just, you know, a plain conversation with no end goal, no point intended, just super authentic, I swear it goes a lot further.
In some ways, it's kind of how we met. We've known each other for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
I'll share this real quick story. I get invited to this cruise. I don't know anybody. My friend is like, you need to come on this cruise. It's everybody that runs nightlife in Vegas. And I show up. I don't know a single person. First night, we're all dressed in stupid costumes. And my buddy gets up to toast our friend for her birthday. He's like, I brought you a gift. And I'm sitting there at a table at the chair, like, I wonder what he
Was it you?
brought her. I wonder what he brought her. And he's like, Brian, I want you to stand up and sing Andrea Bocelli. And here I did have to stand on a chair dressed as an idiot and sing on Andrea Bocelli in front of 40 people that I didn't know. But,
It
you
was
know,
good. It was
it was,
good.
well, thank you. Yes, it wasn't terrible. But it ended up, all these people became friends just because of that. And so just the authentic nature of just be yourself and let people deal with it. But it does remind me, one of my buddies, one of my very, very good friends runs probably the best restaurant in all of Ibiza. And I would say he does hospitality, you know, as well as anybody in the world. And he is as attentive and service oriented as you could possibly be. And I won't name the company, but the CEO of, you know, a Fortune 500 company was there. And my friend did not know who this person was at all. Well, he's got to go to the restroom, and my buddy not only escorts him to the bathroom, but then gives him a tour of the property. And the whole while, the CEO thought that he knew who he was and was doing this because he thought he knew who he was. And my friend finally, at the end of walking him around, he goes, "Well, I'm Javier. Who are you?"
Yeah.
And the guy
What do you?
goes, you don't know who I am?" And he goes, "No, I don't know who you are." And he not only did not know who he was, he had never even heard of his company. And the respect and the admiration that CEO now placed in him, he spent the next 2 years trying to get him to leave that restaurant to come work for his company because of the authenticity and because of, to your point, he wasn't sucking up. He had no idea who that person was. He was being his very genuine, authentic self,
Genuinely
and
interested.
that CEO could figure
Yeah.
that out very quickly. So a lot of the people that I interview, Jay, they're trying to get to ultra wealthy people. And I'm not saying you're not either. You've got to hit your own numbers and you need very wealthy people to visit the Wynn and to engage in the different events that you're hosting. But I would say more than anybody, the ultra wealthy, the powerful, they're trying to get in front of you as well because of what they can access through you, Jay.
Correct. Correct.
But I'm curious about a moment when someone powerful or famous chose to keep you close, not because of your position or what you could give them, but because of who you are and the relationship and what they felt with you.
I mean, let's use Russell Westbrook, for example, right? I met Russell right when he was coming out of college, him and Derrick Rose. The same host that helped me when Reggie got out was the same guy. So he's like, hey, I got these 2 guys. I know you're going to be out tonight. Can they roll with you? I was like, yeah, you know, you've helped me thousands of times. Of course, I'll get up. I'll help you, right? And, you know, text me the name. Now I'm in contact with Derrick Rose. I didn't look nobody up. I'm just like, cool, whatever. I'm going to hang out with these guys for a little bit. I pick them up in my little ass IS Lexus 300. And so pull up to Aria. They get in. I'm talking about like knees are up to here. You know, we ride. I'm like, hey, where you guys want to go? We go to Eve and Logoria's club. It was called Eve at the time in Aria Valet. And we're walking through and, yo, oh my God, da da da. And I'm like, damn, like, who are these dudes, right? The car ride was kind of awkward because I really didn't have nothing to talk about. I'm just, you know, like, hey, man, I'm Jay, I'm so-and-so, you know. So we go to one spot. It really wasn't cracking. Go to another spot. I mean, we ended up hanging out all night.
Yeah.
Right? And the funny thing is, like, Derrick Rose is kind of a shy guy, didn't really talk. And at the time, Russ was super timid, didn't really talk. So I don't talk a lot myself. So, we were just jokes here and there, right? We just, you know,
Y'all just
um,
stand around looking at each other.
yeah, literally. But it was cool. Like, it was just, the energy was there. We had a good time. Fast forward to, 2025. I don't talk to Derrick as much, but I talk to Russ all the time. I see him all the time. He's a great guy. They know what I could provide when they come to the city, but it's not even a matter of that. It's just like, they trust me when their wives come to town. They, hey, don't do anything. Call Jay first. He'll take care of you. Like, when you get that trust, when they're sending moms, dads, family members, and they rely on you to, curate their weekend, or, to make sure everything's straight and there's no questions asked after that. Like, those are the relationships, that I don't mind fostering. And I've met a bunch of people that went from clients to friends, to the point where, like, they don't even come to Vegas to club. They come to visit. Like, hey, I'm
Yep.
in town. If you got time, I want to come by your restaurant. Let's go eat. A lot of those relationships have turned into that.
Is it as simple as it just coming down to being really good at what you do and then being a good human being?
Both. Yep. Because I could be really good at what I do and be a scumbag, a sleaze,
Yep.
right? We have those in the industry, always trying to get over on you, trying to nickel and dime you for everything. Oh, you want to move over to this table? It's an extra 1,000. You want to do this? It's an extra this. Nickel and diamond. Like, and then it takes your whole experience to, like, yo, I'm just cha-ching, 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 and then it's like you're not really having fun by the end of the night, right? So it comes along to, like, them just trusting you, right?
Yeah.
And
I want to
that's
I want to I want to talk about something that you and I have talked about
Mhm.
before. This concept, money versus motion.
Yep.
Uh, we've
Mom.
talked about some people have money and some people have motion. Talk
Yep.
to me about what that means and how does that play into your day to day.
There's people that I've taken care of that have boatloads of money. They can buy whatever they want. They don't have to worry about it, think twice, don't even look at the price tag, right? But they also don't have the access sometimes. I do well, but I'm not comfortable, like, to where I can just do whatever I want. But I have motion. I can get
Mm-hmm.
access to probably 90% of the things that I want to get access to, right? So that motion, to me, carries more weight than what money could. Because, like, again, like I said, when I curate some of these events, some of these well-to-do people can't even get to the front door. So I just feel like the motion carries way more weight than money. And once you learn how to get motion, and the way you get that is, like I said, being authentic, um, being genuine. Because, just say, for example, at work, right? Everybody wants to know the top guy or the executive or the guy that can make the things happen. When I first started, I wanted to know the security guards, the bussers, because at the end of the day, if a security guard is doing his job, he's with that high-end client or that celebrity the majority of the night. Or if I'm at another venue and I know I need to get to that table, but I don't know any of the hosts, and I know a couple of the security guards, oh, Jay, he's good. So sometimes it's not even the person at the top, it's everybody in between that can help you get motion to where you need to be.
Yeah. I mean, the principle is like too often we're too focused on the specific target.
Yep.
And the principle is building relationships with the larger ecosystem, right? And focus on being good to those people as well.
Yep.
So
100%.
so nightlife is about bottles, it's about DJs, it's about fun, crazy nights, but it obviously is a real business and stakes are high. I'm
Hmm.
curious if there have been times, especially with someone famous, that you had to flip the switch from, fun to business in real time.
Oh, yeah.
And how did you handle that?
I mean, just like you handle anything, you got to lace up the boots and strap them on. It was a time where we had Drake perform, right? And this was the biggest ticket for the year, for a couple years. Like, Drake rarely does club performances, and we had them. So those tables, dance floor tables, were like 50, 60,000. And we were hard on the amount of people. Like, it was 60,000, 10 people. And some people ponied up and was like, hey, I'm cool with that. And other people were like, yo, I'm paying 60, now you only get 10 people. So it was one of those issues where, I don't want to put this guy's name out there, but it was a really, really well-known basketball player, just signed a big shoe deal for about 250, right? I'm talking about 250 mil. And I
Yeah.
know he got it. And I'm like, look, I can get you this table, no problem. He's like, yeah, we'll come in, lock me in. I'm here 100%. But I was getting pressure from my boss. He's like, I need every table to have a credit card pre-auth, right? A deposit. So I'm like, all right. So I go to him. I'm like, hey, I need you to sign this. Oh man, it's me. I don't. I'm like, yeah, but everybody got to do it. And it was one of those, but it's me type deals. I'm like, bro, I understand, but if you want this table, somebody else is gonna buy it. Like, I know it's a busy night, but don't think somebody else won't buy this. So my boss, where's it at? Where's it at? Now we're open, and I'm sitting here. I have the contract on my phone. I'm like, I just need you to sign. I had to go disturb him while he's in the high limit room gambling with all his crew, and I don't know none of them. So I get him to sign it. Now he's bartering over tax and gratuity. Like, oh, what's the gratuity? What's the tax? What's this? I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here watching you gamble the tax and gratuity away. Like, so he comes and it goes from 12 guys, which we allowed him 2 more than what he had, 12 guys because he had security, to 22. Because on his way walking over, he ran into another player and he had a crew. And he was like, hey, I'll split the table with you if I could join. So now they show up to the door. There's a whole, they want to hurry up and get in because everybody's starting to recognize these two. So I get them in, get them to the table, right? Nobody's ordering nothing because it's only these 2 guys. So obviously the crew's not going to order. Drake sees them, invites them up to the stage. So they go to the stage. They're up there partying, having a good time. The crew is still at the table. No bottles are being ordered. They're up there almost the whole performance, right? Come back, order 2 bottles for the crew. Now, mind you, every like 20-something people at this table. They order a couple bottles, go back up there. Performance is over. They go to the Drake's after party. Boss is like, hey, they didn't hit their minimum. And I'm like, I know. You know, so like, it was a great performance, but Drake kind of messed me up because he invited him up there. They weren't there to drink the bottles. They weren't ordering for the crew. So now I'm stuck with this $60,000 tab plus tax gratuity that has not been spent yet.
Oh man.
Right. So when I had to strap on the boots, I'm like, look, you guys showed up, you ordered 2, you started the tab. We had to run it anyway.
Bro, that's got to be so hard to navigate sometimes, right?
Right.
Because
It's hard.
again, you want to be relational, you don't want to be transactional, but at some point it kind of is what it is.
Also, it's like I got to set a precedence, right? Like, I
Yeah.
can't let this happen. I can't get ran over, you know?
Man, I love that, Jay. I think that could get glossed over so quickly, but I want to focus on what you just said. I can't get run over.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't have the chutzpah, the strength, the internal fortitude to stand on their convictions and to assert the reality of the situation, and they end up getting run over in the long term. And I think that's a really good point to highlight, is that you realized if you didn't stand on business, that sets a precedent and you're going to get run over because they're going to
Yeah.
tell other people and other people. All right,
Correct.
I got some quick hitting questions.
Mhm.
When you're around high profile people, do they respond more to authenticity or to performance and polish? And where does vulnerability fit into that?
Both, because I have to manage expectations, right? They
Yep.
they 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 expect a certain thing when they deal with me, and it's a lot of times it's based off referrals. Like, if I've never dealt with you before, people are like, oh man. And then once you get a taste of what I can provide, because a lot of times it's more than just a hotel, it's everything outside. They want to do, stuff after the club, before the club. They want to go to a dinner at Cipriati's or somewhere else, and they don't. Yeah, they can easily call. They're going to do the same thing I do. I'm going to call and find out, but they know I'll probably get them a better table. I'll probably get the 9 o'clock reservation that they want. So once they start dealing with me on that aspect, I become like a one-stop shop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's also being authentic, respecting my time and, your time. Don't bullshit me. But also I have to deliver a polished product as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of that comes from I was at a conference a couple years ago, and CEO of this very large company and I end up at a cocktail reception together, and this guy wants to go drink afterwards. I'm like, I'm tired, and he's asking everybody, and nobody will go. And finally, I'm like, okay, I'll go with you. And it's crazy, right? Like, I had in the first 5 minutes, we talked about something really deeply personal to me, and that man opened up. And we ended up having like a 3-hour conversation where this guy's talking about trauma and people that have died in his life. And the next day, I get an email saying that was the most valuable conversation that I've had in like 5 years.
Yeah, because
And you know what started? It was the vulnerability, right? It wasn't me being polished. It was the vulnerability.
a lot of
Right.
them, a lot of conversations sometimes are surface level because again, they know what you can provide or you know who they are. But when you have those Uber ride conversations or those late night bar conversations, that means more to them because they don't really get to do that.
That leads me to my next question. In your world, are the real relationships built on the biggest nights or in the quiet off moments away from the noise?
100% quiet off moments away from the noise. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like Zach Levine, right? 4th of July, maybe 2017. Him and his girl were in Malibu and they were supposed to go to an event and I guess it didn't pan out. And he saw that on Instagram that I was in LA and he hit me up like, yo, what are you doing 4th of July? I'm like, yo, I'm at my buddy's house in Malibu. Actually, you would like it if you guys, in Cali pull up, right? He's like, is it cool? I'm like, yeah, man, cool. I'm here, come have a good time. And him and his wife pulled up and it was dope. We're in Malibu at this nice house. I mean, the people that we're with, they made 4th of July. They brought, I don't know how many fireworks they had. Great time. The vibe was good. Everybody, like, it was just an awesome time. And we literally, like, sat on the beach, was sitting there watching the fireworks. And he was like, yo, man, I really appreciate this. And we just had some authentic conversations. Just chilling.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, man, I really appreciate that. Like, and I'm like, all it was just an invite. And we just had great
Yeah.
conversation and we've been locked in ever since, right? He called me, he's like, hey, I'm going to LA next week. I'm taking the family to Universal Studios. Can you make it? Hell yeah, I'll come. Now it goes from the club stuff. Now I'm spending time with your family. Your parents know me, vice versa. They come, they're calling and checking in on me, things like that, And so it's
It's very
definitely
cool.
those quiet moments that catapulted.
I love that. All right. Who's harder to manage in a room, the famous or the wealthy?
Hmm. I mean, they're both the same. They're both wealthy, but sometimes the wealthy, right? Because they want to be the famous person.
Mm-hmm.
They want the show when they come in, right? But then the famous person, they want to come in low key. They're like, hey, I don't want to be seen. I don't want people taking photos of me, but I'm gonna come in and slide in through the back and chill. Like short example, we did Del Mar Open and we did an after party. And Leonardo DiCaprio showed up. I knew he was coming. I didn't tell a whole bunch of people, and I could have blew it up. Like it could have made us extra money if I would have just told some of the clients that were there, like, hey, stay a little longer. We got Leo coming in. But the the wealthy people want that as a bragging thing. Oh, we went to a party and Leo was there. You know what I'm saying? So that
Yeah.
means something to them. But Leo just wanted to come and be a regular person. Just
Yep.
come and chill. Came, slid him in through the back. He had his cabana. Was in there the whole time. We actually stayed open later, and people didn't understand why we were staying later. And I didn't want to be like, oh, well, Leo's over there. But it had a great time. And then once they found out later on, because some people did get some photos once they saw who it was, it became bragging rights. Like, oh, we were at a party and Leo was there. So I would say the wealthy are a little more hands on than the famous, because
Yeah.
the famous want to kind of be low key sometimes.
It's funny you say that. I was at a party a couple months ago, and Sofia Vergara was there,
Mm.
right? And we're dancing, but it was so funny because nobody really knew she was there, right? Nobody really knew she was there.
Ooh, what's the singer Pussycat, Nicole Schlesinger?
Yeah.
Man, she came in one time to Encore Beach, waited in the general admission line, paid the cover, went in because she was like, I just want to be chill. I don't
Yeah.
want, but then I'll get a guy who has crazy money, wants to skip the line, don't do security.
Yeah, I love that. All right, here's the last one, buddy. As we end this time together, there's a lot of people watching again that are trying to up their game, that are trying to hone their craft. We've got fundraisers, we got people selling jets, we've got folks that are doing financial services that are trying to get better at gaining access, building trust, and influencing the ultra wealthy. What's some words of wisdom that you can offer to those watching for how they better access and engage this very hard to reach segment of the
Um,
population?
my thing is, like I said, always start with being authentic, right? Don't look over the little man. because one day the little man is going to be the big man, and he's going to remember how you treated him when you first met him.
Yep.
Right. So that's why I go back to like, and it's no disrespect to security guards, anybody, but on the grand scheme of thing, on the totem pole, they're layers below the big guy. Right. But one day this guy might get promoted. He might become head of security. The next thing you know, he might be his security, so how you treat him there can help you along the way. And sometimes it's not a year process. Sometimes they get moved up quicker, and they're gonna be like, you know what, this dude was always right with me. Jay, who you need is I need to get over to that guy right there. All right, let me help you get over there, right? Because they might know somebody that can help you get one step further. So my whole thing is never overlook somebody because of their position or what they are, because they won't be that same person tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, right? Or they can hold the key for you getting access to that person that you're trying to get next to. And then once you do get access to that individual, if you have a purpose of them, you're trying to sell a jet or whatever, don't force it on them. Let them ask the questions. You might engage with them and you might not even talk about the jet. They might talk about your outfit, your suit, and you conjure up some type of conversation, and then it can lead back to the jet, because now they're comfortable with you. Now it's not such a transactional thing. It's like, hey, I know you're here for a purpose. You have money. Here's my jet. This is what it costs. What do you do? Get engaged with them on some other type of platform before you get to the nuts and bolts of what you're trying to do.
I
They might
love
just,
that, man.
that's how I've done it. Like you build a rapport first before you go for it. Because at the end of the day, they might just want to experience you, test you out. They might go back, ponder on it. Like, you know what? I really didn't want that jet. It's like $10,000 more or $10 million more than what I expect. But, Brian was cool as shit. Let me just see. Hey, Brian, pleasure meeting you, man. Thanks for the information. I might not be able to get it this year, but next year, and then they'll follow up with you next year, just because they had a cool ass conversation with you. You wasn't so pushy on it, right? I mean, I purchased cars just on that notion, alone, and that's I think that's my whole rhythm with it. Like I used to be like, oh, you need a table, quick pro quo. You don't want to do it, cool, on to the next. But now it's like, you know what, let me foster the relationship, because you might not get the table today when I need it, or to the table today, but when I need it on a big night, you're going to come through. You know what I'm saying? You're
Man,
going to,
you know what, I love that, because people can get so direct and be so focused on my time,
yeah,
and they want to go directly to the sale, directly to the pitch, directly to the thing, and you've completely eliminated a relationship. And so if it's a no, man, it's a no for good.
yeah,
But if I'm focused on the relationship, and that's what people don't get about access, and to some extent motion, right?
yep,
Is if I focus on being relational and focus on the relationship, then I've got all the time in the world to talk about the product or the thing that I have to offer, right?
yep.
I have all the time in the world to talk about that. But if I focus so heavily on the product or the pitch or the thing that I have, and it's a no, man, you're very rarely going to get the chance to come back around to it. So focus
I'll
on the
give you,
relationship. Yep, go for it.
I'll give you a quick small example. Like there's, when we first opened Encore Beach, there's a couple guys that I took care of. They were cool as shit. I mean, the line was out the roof, and they were sweating. It was hot, and then I seen them out there. They're probably waiting like 2 hours, right? And they finally like built up the gusto to come to me. And they're like, "Man, I see everybody keeps coming to you. I don't know who you are, what you do, but we've been out here cooking for a minute." They told me this long sob story about what happened the night before, almost like a hangover story. Like, we lost our homie, and the story was so funny, and these guys were so genuine and so honest. I was like, "Look, y'all been through enough shit. Come on, I got you. You're right.
Yeah.
Whatever." Took care of them. They went in. Till this day, they are my biggest bungalow customers, just because I took care of them. They got in. And like I said, it wasn't about what they could do for me right then. They all elevated. And now they're literally my biggest customers, because I was just so cool with them. They came back. I really didn't remember them, because, this is probably like 6-7 years ago. They've aged, a little bit. And they're like, "Bro," and they told me the story. I'm like, I vaguely remember, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, "Yeah, well, we're going to get a bungalow. We want to get a bungalow. We're going to be back. We just want to make sure like you were still here, da, da, da." And like I said, it wasn't like, what can you do for me right now type deal. It was just like, yo, these dudes were authentic. They felt vulnerable. They were asked out. What was it to me to help them that one day? You know what I mean?
That's great. Jay, man, this is gold, brother. I appreciate you taking the time. I think our audience is going to enjoy this, and I appreciate all you do, man. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate it, for sure.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Relational Capital is produced by Wealth Quotient, where our mission is to help sales and fundraising professionals access and engage the ultra-affluent market more effectively and efficiently. To learn more or schedule a call, visit mywealthq.com. I'm Brian Gonzales. Thanks for listening.